Greetings to all. The session is regarding intermediate chemistry. Will be fetching for your international entrance and competitive exams as well. India is conducting JEE Advanced. JEE means examination for your entrance into the IIT and NIT stream, that is the technical domain all across India. You will get admission over there. And NEET chemistry will be conducted. NEET exam will be conducted all across India for medical entrance examination. Telangana government and Andhra Pradesh government are conducting MCET exam to get the admission into BTech stream. In addition to all this, competitive exams will be conducted in various domains to get the career opportunities in the government organizations where general studies common question paper is available. There you can find the general science content. The content what we are discussing here is very much fetching for that kind of sessions. Let's enter into our today's session. The Nobel Prize in the Chemistry 2003 was awarded for the discoveries concerning channels in the cell membranes, jointly with one half to Peter Agor for the discovery of water channels, and with one half to Roderick McConnell for the structural and mechanistic studies of the ion channels. This is the way Nobel Prize for the year 2003 was awarded to together these two scientists. One is called Peter Rager, another is called Roderick McConnell. And this is about the brief info regarding the scientist. Peter Rager contributed 1/2 of the Nobel Prize for the year 2003. Roderick McConnell also contributed 1/2 of the Nobel Prize for the year 2003. Let's enter into our brief info regarding the scientist who accorded with the prestigious Nobel Prize all across the world recognition. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences has decided to award the Nobel Prize in the chemistry for the year 2003 for discoveries connecting channels in the cell membranes, with one half of the prize to Peter Rager, Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, Baltimore, United States of America. He worked upon for the discovery of water channels. And another half is contributed by Roderick McConnell, Harvard Medical Institute, the Rockefeller University, New York, United States of America, for structural and mechanistic studies of ion channels. This is the way these two outstanding work got accorded and laureated with the prestigious prize called Nobel in the field of chemistry for the year 2003. Let's see. What will be the entire research process got carried and how way they got accorded with the Nobel Prize. Molecular channels. Let us enter into the chemistry of the cell. We human beings consist of about 70% of salt water in our body. This year's Nobel Prize chemistry rewarded to two eminent scientists whose discoveries have clarified how salt and water are transported in and out of the cell all across the body. The discoveries have afforded us a fundamental molecular understanding of how, example, kidneys are recovering water from the primary urine. Electrical signals in our nerve cells are generated and propagated. Everybody aware about that when kidneys are used to filter the entire kind of whatever discreting system we want to remove, and whatever nutrients they get recollected by means of that membrane system. Dialysis process got carried, natural dialysis carried by these cell membranes in these kidneys. And one more, another naturally occurring phenomenon is electrical signals, which are originated now nerve cells. Whatever signals get generated and further they get transmitted, they get propagated to another organisms as well. This is the way signal impulsion, signal transportation is possible. This is of great importance for our understanding. Many diseases like kidney related, heart related, muscle related, and nervous system related kind of disorders and diseases can be diagnosed, and curation will be carried further. So if we understand the mechanism of working, so that we can analyze where the problem is originated and how can we mitigate that one. That the body cell must contain the specific channels for the transportation of the water was suspected as early as the middle of the 19th century. However, in 1988, that Peter Agor succeeded in isolating the membrane protein that year or so later, he realized must be the long sought after water channel. right? So how the water channel entire mechanism of the process carried inside the body through the membrane proteins will be there. That membrane proteins are used to diffuse this water which is containing salt matter. So that kind of a new perception of scientific research got introduced by the scientist called Peter Eger, right? So this decisive discovery opened a door to a whole series of biochemical, physiological, genetic studies of the water channels in a bacteria, plant material, and even in mammals like human beings. Today, researchers can follow the detail of water molecule, its a way through the cell membrane, and understand why only water, not other small molecules or ions can pass. Okay, so he also got scientific idea regarding why these membranes are restricting or allowing the movement of ions and the salt ions and water itself, but restricting all the remaining ion diffusion will be excluded. What could be the reason behind it? That kind of perception and research got explorated by the scientist called Peter Eger. And that is regarding the first person contributed for the Nobel Prize for the year 2003. Water channel pumping got completed. And in either scientist, eminent scientist called Roderick McConnell, surprised the whole research community when 1998 he was able to determine a spatial structure of potassium channel. How the potassium pumping and potassium channeling is possible inside the living organisms, that kind of research got explorated by the scientist called Roderick McConnell. Thanks to the contribution, we can now see ions flowing through the channels that can be opened and closed by different cellular signals. How the signal pumping is possible, and this signaling is used to open and close the this ion pumping used to open and close the cellular signals. That kind of entire mechanism was demonstrated and understood by the scientist called Roderick McConnell. The ion channels are important for, among all other things, the functions of the nervous system and muscles. What is called the action potential of the nerve cells is generated when the ion channel in the surface of the nerve cell is opened by chemical signals sent from the adjacent nervous cell, whereupon electrical pulse is propagated along the surface and nerve cell through opening and closing further the ion channels in the course of few milliseconds. Within few milliseconds, where the nervous cell starting point will be there the signal origination is possible. Whenever signal origination is possible, that signal used to propagate from one neurocell to another neurocell within fraction of second, within milli fraction of second, there is a propagation process will be carried. And how the opening and closing of channels are possible, the entire mechanism got unveiled by the scientist called Roderick McConnell. So because of their outstanding work, this year's Nobel Prize is illustrated to these two scientists, and it will illustrate how contemporary biochemistry reaches down to the atomic level. And it's a quest to understand the fundamental process of the life. So how the fundamental process of the life will be carried, that study was focused and emphasized by this year Nobel Prize. We entered into another question, which is collected from the Cambridge Assessment International Education. The list of substances are shown here: aluminium oxide, carbon dioxide, chlorine, diamond, ethanol, glucose, iron trioxide, limestone, nitrogen, oxygen. These are the chemical component provided. Answer the questions using list of substances. Each substance may be used once, more than once, or not yet all. State which of the substance are used over here. Multiple questions are poised for question number 2. Let me find the questions. Later on, we will go for how to answer them. Dash is a reactant in the photosynthesis. Dash is a main constituent of the bauxite. Are two products of the fermentation process. Is used as a fuel, is a gas used to convert iron into steel, is a greenhouse gas, is a gas that is approximately 78% of the clean air and the dry air, is a form of carbon. So these questions to be answered. In order to answer them, let me go one by one first. Is a reactant in the photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the natural phenomenon where We can utilize carbon dioxide and water as a reactant species. In the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, these two components got mixed up and used to generate the product called carbohydrates called glucose. And along with that, if we can evaluate that molecular oxygen as well, which is the breathing gas. This is the way entire photosynthesis process got carried. In that reactant will be carbon dioxide, obviously, right? Main constituent of the bauxite. Bauxite is the ore of aluminium. It is the main ore of aluminium. Aluminium is the lightest, one of the light metal. So that being it is lighter, so that we can use in the aerospace applications, spacecrafts. Aerospace crafts can be fabricated by means of this aluminium, so that aluminium is the extracted from the ore which is called bauxite. Bauxite is oxide of aluminium, hydrated form of oxide, that is aluminium oxide. So that we can go with the option aluminium oxide for this option, question number B. Are two products of the fermentation. Fermentation is the process which is carried by the bacteria and microorganisms will be involved in that. Anaerobic conditions in general apply for the fermentation process. The complex molecules got fragmented by enzymatic action of that microorganisms and they got converted into a simpler, smaller molecule. The entire process is said to be fermentation. The most importantly, fermentation process, if you are taking sucrose or glucose or any kind of carbohydrate of complex moiety can be taken. Either you may go with yeast or that yeast kind of microorganism, so that it used to secrete the enzymes. Whenever enzymes got secreted, so that finally we will get a simpler molecules like ethanol and carbon dioxide as the product. Ethanol is provided, carbon dioxide as well, so that we can go with these options for question number C. Move on to question number D. It is used as a fuel. So in order to understand, in order to identify which is taken as a fuel among all the options given, ethanol obviously upon combustion giving rise to the ethanol composed by the carbon content, so that upon combustion giving rise to the high calorific value over there, so that ethanol is a kind of fuel, and being it is extracted from excrete of the plants or else residues of the plants, we can say in specific terms, residues of the plants after the cropland, after the completion of that crop tenure, we can go with their residues and that used to ferment in particular manner, so that we will extract ethanol from that, so that ethanol taken as a biofuel. So in specific, we can say it is a biofuel. So dash is used to convert iron into steel. Iron is a kind of metal. Most widely used metal among all the metals which are present in the entire periodic table. All across the world, iron finds the maximum extent of applications, right? Iron can be converted into a steel by the incorporation of certain quantity of carbon, and another chromium is required to be added, manganese is required to be added. This is the way it is a kind of alloy. Iron is a pure metal, steel is obviously a kind of alloy, mixture of metals will be there. In order to transform iron into steel, the gas required is oxygen. Dash is used as a greenhouse gas. Greenhouse gases are nothing but the gases which having natural tendency to hold infrared radiation with them. They used to percolate, they used to absorb the infrared radiation from the sun rays, so that Earth's temperature some extent increased. That is called a greenhouse gas or greenhouse effect. Among all, the maximum contribution is accorded by the carbon dioxide. Around 50% greenhouse effect is contributed by this carbon dioxide only. Dash is the gas that is approximately 78% of the clean and dry air. Air is the mixture of gases. So air is present in this troposphere in the maximum extent, so that in that air, the maximum contribution is given by the nitrogen by 78% in the quantity. And also will be oxygen will be there. Later on, carbon dioxide will be there. Traces of noble gases also present in this air, whichever present in our surroundings, which we call it as a atmosphere, right? Dash is a form of carbon. Carbon contains maximum number of allotropic forms. Among all the allotropic forms available, some may be crystalline in nature, others are non-crystalline allotropic forms also available. And among the given options provided, the, sorry, among the given options provided, only the option having allotrope of the carbon is a diamond. Nothing else are the allotropes of the carbon. Only diamond is the allotrope. You can go with this answer. Move on to another question. What we have. So by this, we are able to answer all the questions whichever posed in the question number 2. Let me go with a detailed explanation for all these. Here is the description given for the natural process called the photosynthesis, where we can combine carbon dioxide gas with the water. Carbon dioxide mixed up with water in the presence of sunlight and the green color pigment called the chlorophyll, constituted by the magnesium. And they used to synthesize this molecule called C6H12O6, which is called a glucose. Along with that, the most important gas, which we can call it as a molecular oxygen, will be generated. Okay, so this is the way entire process of photosynthesis is described. So in that, the question is, starting material will be carbon dioxide. Move on to second question. What is the composition, chemical composition of bauxite? Bauxite is illustrated as Al2O3 2H2O. So Al2O3 taken, that is called anhydrous, but bauxite is the dihydrated form of alumina. Al2O3 is called alumina. In chemical terms, we can say aluminium oxide. So that aluminium oxide is the starting material for this bauxite. You can see the ore of this bauxite here. And another question they posed is fermentation process. What are the final outputs of that fermentation process? As we already gave the definition regarding this fermentation, starting material is very complicated carbohydrate we are taking up. This glucose used using ADP, adenosine diphosphate, can mix up with the phosphate ions over there, and ADP got transformed into ATP. ATP is the form of energy. So if we try to store our money, we will store in a bank, right? At the same time, in our body, our energy will be stored in this ATP, right? Our energy storage bank is ATP only. So this is the way ADP got converted into ATP by mixing up with this phosphorus. So that glucose first converted into pyruvate. So this pyruvate further releasing carbon dioxide. Whenever pyruvate releasing carbon dioxide, this pyruvate got converted into acetaldehyde. The acetaldehyde further fragmented into smaller species, and it is a kind of reduction, we can say. And already we know that it is a kind of anaerobic process. Anaerobics is nothing but in the absence of oxygen, the entire process will be carried. If you observe there, NAD is transformed into NADH, so that aldehyde got transformed into alcohol. This is the way ethanol will be generated by means of these three fundamental steps, where you can eval as the final products. One is carbon dioxide, and either is ethanol. This is the way we can answer the question number 3. Go with the question number 4, what they asked. What is the fuel among all the options provided? Here you can clearly observe common ethanol fuel mixtures. Ethanol can be used as such as the fuel, or else we can go with the blending of ethanol with this gasoline or petrol. So what happens? So there are multiple benefits whenever we are going to blend this ethanol with that petrol. One of the benefit will be being ethanol extracted from biological source, so that pollution get mitigated, one of the factor. And the second will be, it is the kind of natural, what we can say, garbage treatment, garbage management process. Whatever crop residues generated, we are going to convert that kind of waste into wealth. This is the way ethanol can be generated from the waste. So this is another kind of resource, we can say. And third is about whenever ethanol blended with the petrol being it is not available everywhere, it is of limited quantity fuel, we can say. So that naturally available residual fuel we are getting over there, so that we can minimize the economic what we can say economic import prices will be minimized. This is the way multiple benefits we can avail if ethanol is also taken as a fuel, so that we can say among the given options, ethanol is the kind of fuel. And another question we can see, whenever we are going to convert iron into steel, what gas can be utilized? This is the answer collected from the Quora. This is the platform for answering the questions, whichever we difficult to answer. The gas commonly used to making the steel is called oxygen. The oxygen is a typically blown into a furnace containing molten iron, which reacts with oxygen to oxidize impurities and carbon, resulting in the production of steel. This is the way. First of all, iron to be blended, iron to be mixed up with oxygen, so that it used to remove the impurities and even carbon got mixed up and there is a formation of steel is possible. This is the way oxygen is required to be added with the iron in order to transform into the steel. And here is another question is answered over here. All these are the emissions we can say which are impacting that rising temperatures, the process called greenhouse effect, where carbon dioxide is the maximum contributor over there. So that carbon dioxide is given in the option. So we will go with this. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. And next is about the 78% composition is given for which of the gas among all, right? So in the air, so air is made up of 78.09% of nitrogen. This is the answer collected from the platform called Vedantu. And 78.09% nitrogen will be there, 20.95% of oxygen will be there, 0.93% organ will be there, 0.04% of carbon dioxide will be there. These many components are present in the mixture of the gas, and other gas meager amounts. So another gases also present in the meager amounts, like noble gases are present over there. Water vapor is also a constituent of the air's varying amount along with the dust particles. The molar mass of the dry air and air with no or low quantity of water vapor is 28.97 gram per mole. So the requisite answer will be 98.09% of what nitrogen will be there. And another question to be answered by this slide, where allotrope of the carbon. These many allotropes are possible for the carbon, and diamond is the allotropic form, which is the hardest material known. And the graphite is another having lubrication property. Fullerenes are known, which are nanoscale materials of carbon. Amorphous carbon will be there. Powdered carbon, we can say. Char is the best example regarding. And lonsdaleite, graphene will be there. Again, it is nanoscale material. Additional carbon allotropes are animal charcoal by burning of a dead animal, so that charcoal will be generated. And Buckminster fullerene, again, it is the kind of nanoscale material. Carbon nanotubes, nanomaterial it will be. Coal is partially combusted wood or any material. Wood material only we can say, so that coal will be generated, or else it is naturally originated in the earth crust as well. Coke is a amorphous kind of allotrope of the carbon. Gaseous carbon is also present whenever we are raising the temperature to maximum extent, so that solid got vaporized. Lamp black will be there. This is another kind of carbon allotropic form. So among all the given option, you can find diamond, hardest material. So after getting all this, let me trace out all the question with their own answers. So this is the way the slide is prepared. Is a reactant of photosynthesis will be a carbon dioxide from the given options. Is a main constituent of the bauxite, aluminum oxide, dihydrate, but aluminum oxide is provided over there. Two products of the fermentation, one is ethanol, and another is carbon dioxide. As a fuel, which is used as a fuel from the options, you can choose out. Ethanol as a fuel is a gas used to convert iron into a steel is oxygen. As a greenhouse gas is a carbon dioxide gas that is approximately 78% of clean dry air will be nitrogen. Dash is the form of carbon is a diamond. This is the way question number 2 got completed. Move on to question number 3 conducted by the JEE Advanced Examination in the year 2015, paper 1 question conducted by National Testing Agency. The molecular formula of the commercial resin used for exchanging ions in the water softening is C8H7SO3Na. So this is the resin where the exchange of ions are possible, whose molecular weight is 206. What would be the maximum uptake of calcium plus 2 ions by the resin when expressed in the mole per gram resin? Whenever mole per gram resin was taken, in that, how much extent of calcium plus 2 ions got absorbed? That to be answered. In order to answer that one, we have a illustration. The correct option is 1 by 412. 1 by 412 is mentioned. Sorry. 1 by 412 is the expected answer over there. For that purpose, first of all, we have to see how the exchange of ions are possible. The resin is accorded with C8H7SO3Na. This is a sodium containing long chain of sulfonate. Whenever it is treated with calcium ions got trapped over there and sodium ions released, free sodium ions released over. So, in order to absorb this calcium plus 2 ions, we need 2 moles of the starting material of resin and 1 mole of calcium ion got absorbed. So 2 moles of this extent of long chain of sodium sulfonate composed by 412 grams of the compound. This organic compound molecular weight is described as 412 grams. Maximum uptake of the calcium plus 2 ions are taken are 2 moles having 1 mole, then 412 grams, how many? So that you can go with the cross multiplication, 1 by 412 will be the answer. So 1 by 412 is provided. Sorry. Now we entered into question number 4. Again, it is collected from JEE Advanced 2015 question paper, paper 1 question. It is sodium metal crystallizes in body-centered cubic lattice with the unit cell edge of 4.29 angstroms. The radius of the sodium atom is approximately, the radius of the sodium atom is approximately. So BCC crystal lattice is provided over there for sodium metal, and whose unit cell edge length is provided, that is 4.29 angstroms. Radius are to be described over there. So for this question, the answer is taken like this. For body-centered cubic unit cell, the formula for the calculation of the radius will be root 3a is equal to 4r. Root 3a is equal to 4r, so that r to be calculated. If you want to calculate the r value, r is the radius of the unit cell, r is equal to root of 3 by 4 and multiplied with a. Root of 3 by 4 into a. Root of 3 by 4 into a value is provided within the problem, that is 4.29 angstroms. Right? So that under root 3 by 4 into 4.29 angstroms, whose radius is calculated as 1.85 angstroms. 1.85 angstroms is the radius of sodium metal body-centered cubic unit cell radius. This is the way we can answer that is provided in the option number 1. For question number 4, option number 1 is the correct answer. Move on to question number 5. This is collected from Telangana EAMCET examination from 2020 question paper. Which of the following statement is not true about the Thomson's model of atom? థామ్సన్ పరమాణు నమూనాకు సంబంధించి ఈ క్రింది వాక్యాలలో ఏది నిజం కాదు? థామ్సన్ మోడల్ ఆఫ్ ఆటమ్ which is not true to be identified. First of all, we have to go with the postulates of these Thomson atomic model. This model can be visualized as the pudding or the watermelon of the positive charge with the plum or seeds of the electrons embedded into that. So where you can find the watermelon? So watermelon type of entire atom was taken. In that, plum will be there. Inside plum will be there, which is nothing but positively charged species where electrons are moving like seeds. ఓకే. సో దిస్ ఈస్ ద వే. ఈ నమూనాను పుడ్డింగ్ లేదా పుచ్చకాయను ధనావేశంగా తీసుకొని అందులో పొదిగి ఉన్న విత్తనాలను ఎలక్ట్రాన్లుగా ఊహించుకోవచ్చు. సో దిస్ ఈస్ ద కరెక్ట్ ఆన్సర్ ఫర్ థామ్సన్ అటామిక్ మోడల్, రైట్? రాంగ్ ఆన్సర్ టు బి ఐడెంటిఫైడ్. సో దిస్ ఈస్ ద కరెక్ట్ ఆన్సర్ ఓన్లీ. The mass of the atom is assumed to be uniformly distributed over the atom. So mass is not composed only at the particular region. Rather, the mass is distributed all across the atom. పరమాణు ద్రవ్యరాశి పరమాణు అంతటా సమంగా పంపిణీ జరిగినట్లుగా భావించబడింది. సో అటామిక్ మాస్ డిస్ట్రిబ్యూటెడ్ ఆల్ అక్రాస్ ద atom uniformly. That was mentioned by the Rutherford atomic model. That is also correct one. An atom possesses the spherical shape in which positive charge is uniformly distributed. సో గోళాకారపు పరమాణువులో ధనావేశం సమానంగా పంపిణీ చేయబడి ఉంది. ఓకే. సో ఎంటైర్ atom is described by a sphere in that all the positive charge is distributed evenly. That means uniformly. So this is also correct one. This model couldn't explain the overall neutrality of the atom. ఈ నమూనాలో పరమాణు యొక్క మొత్తం తటస్థీకరణ వివరించబడలేదు. So this is not correct. So how the neutrality is gained by the atom is perfectly explained by the Thomson atomic model of an atom, right? Let's check about that one. According to the Thomson model of an atom, possesses a spherical shape. Okay, atom is represented by the spherical shape, which is the watermelon model. And a positive charge is uniformly distributed in the sphere around the negative charged electrons and embedded like a raisins, such as the magnitude of the uniformity distributed. Positive charges and embedded negative charges are equal. Whatever positive charges are there, equal number of negative charges also accommodated. That's the reason why. What does it mean? So this explains the neutrality. Extent of positive charge compensated by the same extent of negative charge. That's the reason why compensation of charges are possible. Does it explain the electrical neutrality of the atom? What they mentioned over there, this is the wrong one. For question number 5, option number 4 is the wrong answer. That to be identified. Okay, because equal number of positive and negative charges you can find in the plum pudding model of Thomson's atomic model. Move on to last question of the session. Which of the following statement is not the result of the cathode ray discharge tube experiment with the perforated anode? ఓకే. సచ్ఛిద్ర యానోడ్ కలిగిన కాథోడ్ కిరణాల ఉత్సర్గనాల ప్రయోగానికి సంబంధించి ఈ క్రింది వాక్యాలలో ఏది ఫలితం కాదు? ఓకే. In the cathode ray experiment, which is not the correct statement whichever provided in the given all 4 options. Cathode ray experiment only the evidence in order to identify the electrons, right? So let's see what are the correct one, what are not the correct one. Okay. In the absence of the electrical or magnetic field, cathode rays travel in the straight line. విద్యుత్ లేదా అయస్కాంత క్షేత్రం లేనప్పుడు cathode కిరణాలు రుజు మార్గంలో ప్రయాణిస్తాయి. Cathode rays are nothing but electrons only. Electrons carries what charge? Negative charge will be accompanied by the electrons, so that whenever electric field and magnetic field are absent, so that electrons are not influenced by anything, so they are moving in a straight path. రుజు మార్గంలో ప్రయాణిస్తున్నాయి. So this is the correct one. Though it is negatively charged, but there is no influence of other things over there. So in the absence of electric magnetic field, so that they are moving in a straight one. In the presence of electric and magnetic field, behavior of the cathode rays is similar to that expected for negatively charged particles. Whenever electric field is applied over there, what happens? These electrons are bending towards the positive electrode, positively charged electrode, because they are accompanied by the negative charge. That's the reason why they are bending. They shows the deviation from their regular path. right? Even in the magnetic field as well, they are showing such a kind of deviation. How the deviation is represented, the deviation, how exactly negatively charged particles are possessing, this equal extent of nature or behavior is given by these cathode rays as well. That's the reason why we can assume that cathode rays are negatively charged, because they are resembling in the nature of negatively charged particles in the presence of electrical and the magnetic field. This is also correct one. విద్యుత్ లేదా అయస్కాంత క్షేత్రం ఉన్నప్పుడు cathode కిరణాల యొక్క స్వభావము రుణావేశ కణాలకు సమానంగా ఉంటుంది. In the presence of electric and magnetic field, cathode rays travels in the straight line. Absolutely no, because cathode rays, being these are negatively charged species, they are having certain extent of deviation in the presence of electric magnetic. Rather, they are not moving in a straight path or straight line. It is not possible. విద్యుత్ లేదా అయస్కాంత క్షేత్రంలో cathode కిరణాలు రుజు మార్గంలో ప్రయాణించును అనేది రాంగ్ వన్, because always there is the certain extent of deviation. They are bending, so that this is a wrong one. The cathode rays start from cathode and move towards the anode. Cathode rays, they are released from the cathode. That's why we are saying these are cathode rays only. And they are having natural tendency move towards the anodic region. Cathode కిరణాలు cathode నుండి బయలుదేరి anode వైపు ప్రయాణిస్తున్నాయి. That's the reason why we are saying these are called cathode rays. They are originated at the cathode, right? Among all, the wrong one will be option number 3. For question number 3, option 3 is the correct answer. We will discuss in detail by taking the diagrammatic representation. This is the entire description for the cathode ray tube experiment, where initially we are taking a coil where heating provision you can notice over there. Whenever you're rising the temperature, so when temperature rises, electrons are ejected from the system, from the atom. Whenever electrons got ejected over there, and they are having natural tendency to move towards the anodic region, they are in the path to reach the anodic region. Here, deflecting coils and focusing coils are inserted over there. Whenever we are applying the magnetic and electric field over there, there is a kind of deviation. You can find that the straightly moving electrons are bending towards the anodic region. They are in the direction towards the anodic region. Certain angle of deviation you can notice over there. Electron beam. So just now we assumed that cathode rays are nothing but beam of electrons only. Beam of electrons are accompanied by negative charge. Unit negative charge is accompanied by the electrons, so that they are bending towards the anodic region over there. So that fluorescent screen is taken. Why fluorescent screen we are taking? In order to examine, in order to visualize the movement of these electrons in a clear path or clear manner, fluorescent screen was taken. They are striking on the surface of this fluorescent screen, so that here fluorescent light is absorbed. So if the electrons are neutral, for example, electrons are neutral, the bombardment is carried at this middle point. Rather, these electrons are accompanied by negative charge. That's why they are bending towards the anodic region under the influence of electric field, so that the screen you can clearly observe here the striking point is noticed over. This is the way the entire session was completed. We got covered with the various segments of chemistry, included with the general chemistry, organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, even physical chemistry part is also covered over there. Hopefully the session is really informative. Who are seriously aspiring for the examination, the kind of session will be very helpful. Hence, I'm requesting all for attending this session and like the session and comment. In order to comment, we have a question for the session. So whenever plum pudding model was taken into the consideration, in the plum pudding model, here two kind of subatomic particles are mentioned over there. In the plum pudding model, which is taken as resemblance with the electrons, which is taken with the resemblance with the proton. That means where the positive charge is located, where the negative charge. It is very simple question. So in order to identify your attention only, the question is poised over here, and you can answer the question in the comment box for the session. And share with the aspirants who are more serious and curious about the examinations, and subscribe the channel. Definitely, we will go with new content in the near future in this channel called World of Competitive Chemistry. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.